ahead and we're just going to start and we're going to go, sorry if I'm flinging, from mouth to anus. I think I just did, sorry. So we start with the oral cavity. We have our hard palate. We have the soft palate. And then we're going to enter into the esophagus. The esophagus is hard to see in the throat area, so I actually prefer to go behind the trachea. And behind the trachea is a collapsed brown tube. And so you should be able to see that I had to move the trachea to the side, and then I'm pulling this tube up. That is my esophagus. I can, if I really want to, I can trace it all the way down, and I can keep following it until I cross the diaphragm. Remember, I do have a hiatus that allows that esophagus to go through the diaphragm, and it's going to go to my stomach. The stomach is this sac right here. It's empty on this guy because he is deceased. And the muscles have all relaxed, and so you wouldn't be able to feel much anyway in there. I cannot feel that lower esophageal sphincter, which would be up at the top here, very well. But if I go to the base of the stomach, I can feel the pyloric sphincter, and I should see a little knot where that pyloric sphincter is. It is, you're going to feel, it feels fairly substantial right there. And so that is the pyloric sphincter. Now, as I continue down the tube, I'm going to go into the first part of the small intestines called the duodenum. It's more straight. Then I head into jejunum and ileum. Now, one thing I do want to point out, this is not on your list, but it's beautiful, is look at that folding action on these small intestines. See the mesentery with the blood vessels in it? That's really pretty. It's almost artistic when you look at how pretty it is. And then as I move down through the small intestines, if I kind of lift up, I'll find where the small intestines joins with the large intestines. I find it because I look for the cecum. The pig doesn't have an appendix that I have ever seen, so no appendix on the pig, but we do see the cecum hanging down. And then this balled up larger tubing is the large intestines. The pig doesn't have the structure that we do with ascending, transverse, descending. Theirs is all kind of balled up here. The large intestines then leads to this green tube, which runs right down here. Let me see if I can get underneath it. This tube is the rectum. The rectum leads out to the anus. Okay? Now, we have some accessory structures that we want to look for also. So we have our liver, which is right here. His liver's a little squished. And so I'm going to kind of unfold it to find his gallbladder, which is not quite as pretty on him because it's hiding.
It's already written.
Oh, there it is. So here is his gallbladder right here. It's a little sac attached underneath. You can even see the cystic duct right here. So it shows up very nicely. So there's my liver.
So it's not green like we do.
Some of them are, some of them are not. It depends what it was doing for this fetal pig. So he didn't have a lot going on yet. So not much. I have another accessory structure underneath here, and that's the pancreas. Let me try to expose it. It's underneath the stomach, so I had to lift the stomach up, and then you should see this little sac here, and it's elongated. And people say it looks a little bit like a little corn on the cob. I remember I told you it looks like a little sack of very super small curd cottage cheese. It's very glandular in its appearance. Is that everything digestive? Did I hit it all? Yes. Okay. The other thing we want to do is reproductive system. And on this one, we have a boy. And so on the boy, we want to find some of his parts here, which are going to be buried more in the leg. His testes have not descended. And so with that, let me pull it out here. So here we go. And so there we have, you know, we've been talking about spermatic cord. Those of you wondering what that is, you can see the connective tissue binding things up here. So it's a little cord that's going to hang the testes down into the scrotal sac. I can actually expose the testis itself by opening up this connective tissue covering. This I try to do a little bit more delicately because it's easy to cut things and then miss out. So let me see if I can get this cut open well. Not making things. Okay. So as I expose the actual testis here, I can see testis right here, epididymis right here, and then the vas deferens is going to come up off the back side of this, so it comes epididymis to vas deferens. The vas deferens I can trace if I so chose to. I'm not going to expose all this. I can trace it up through the cord and trace it all the way around. Here's a part of the vas deferens right here as it comes around. And our vas deferens is going to connect to the urethra. So we can actually see on the base of the bladder, we'll see where it actually dumps through an ejaculatory duct into the urethra. Now the urethra is this tube that we exposed before. So it's going to dump into this tubing here. And the urethra on the male winds down. Here's the other testis. Let me get that out of the way so we don't have that in the way. This urethra is kind of interesting on the male pig because you can see, it's not on your list of things to know on the male here, but you can see the bulbal urethral glands. And so that's just intriguing here. So here's a bulbal urethral gland. There's one, should be matching on the other side there. So you can actually see those where you might not have seen them before. So they're right here. Prostate's up in here. Now, that urethra winds around and it has been cut. This is the one I did because remember I cut it. So there's the urethra that's been cut, and it would match up with another piece of tubing right here that comes out through the urethral orifice right here. So the male will urinate out here. Now if you want to turn that off, Chet, I'll go find a female.